Hello and welcome back to Zekism. In this video, I just got back from seeing Jurassic World Rebirth, the new one, starring Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, Mahershala Ali, Rupert Friend, and others. That's pretty much the main cast. I paused for thought because it was a film. I think it's probably important to go through my relationship with Jurassic World, the franchise, we have to call it now. Obviously, the first one, 1993, Jurassic Park, is a seminal moment in my life. It was probably the first grown-up film I saw at the cinema. Yes, I saw it at the cinema when I was 5 or 6 years old. My parents, rightly or wrongly, took me to it. And, mixed bag of reactions. But no, it was one of the best films ever. It's so rewatchable even now. It is the king. I was going to think about making a joke going, oh, maybe I like this one, but no. Anyone who doesn't put the first Jurassic Park as their number one in this franchise sort of needs maybe they've had a lobotomy. I don't know, but take their keys away. Anyway, so that's where I'm coming from. I think the sequels have been, let's just say, disappointing. I think at this point we have to acknowledge that they're never going to recapture the magic of the first one. That's not to say they couldn't try, but they sort of, I don't know why, but for one reason or other, the sequels just aren't that intelligent. I think The Lost World is a film that does not age well. I saw it when I was a kid, and excuse me, choked on my own distaste. The second one, Lost World, was fine when I was a kid. As you grow up and watch it again, you go, there's some really silly things in that film that sort of take away from the magic. Jurassic Park 3 I was never a fan of. I saw it on video. I didn't go to the cinema for that one. And thought it was meh, if not fine. I actually didn't mind the first Jurassic World with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard. I thought that was a moderately solid entry. It sort of was aping the first one. It's the park open, which is something we didn't see before. So it had that going for it, and I thought some of the dinosaur action in it was okay. But the genetic hybrid stuff was sort of not my bag, and then obviously that was the prevailing story through Fallen Kingdom, which honestly I really hate that film, and Dominion, which I thought was really a waste of my time as well. There you go. I do slag films off sometimes. But yeah, so I really didn't like those sequels. So now we get a complete redo. There's no cast members from those Jurassic World films in this one. It's a brand new cast, I say brand new story. It's an aping of the story. You've seen the trailer, you know what's going to happen. This is directed by Gareth Edwards, who I am a fan of. He directed Rogue One, Godzilla 2014, and you can see some of that style in this film, actually. A couple of moments, especially, there's a couple of moments that reminded me of that Godzilla film in 2014. The shots of the large dinosaurs, and this, I'll dovetail into the plot now. Basically, the plot is there is a pharmaceutical company who discovers that InGen had an R&D island where they were experimenting on genetic hybrids, crossbreeds between dinosaurs and gargantuan style dinosaurs as well. So there are 3 in particular, and their names escape me. I should have written them down, but they're essentially a giant pterodactyl, a giant brachiosaur, I think it's called Titanosaurus, and the Mosasaurus from Jurassic World. All of which they have to take a blood sample of all 3. So there's your MacGuffin. Because using that DNA, they could help heart disease and prolong people's lives by around 10 to 20 years to help with research to do with heart disease or heart failure or coronary disease. That's the plot. So the body played by Rupert Friend from the pharmaceutical company recruits Scarlett Johansson, who's a mercenary. She says she isn't, but she is. She's a mercenary called Zora. And she recruits Mahershala Ali, a friend of hers, a fellow mercenary who owns a boat, to basically get them in and out. And that's the plot. They recruit the museum sort of dinosaur expert, played by Jonathan Bailey. We'll get to him. And there is also a couple of other mercenaries who come with them on the boat. So that's their crew. Meanwhile, there is a family sailing far too close to the equator, or to the islands in general, who get swept up in a Mosasaurus incident, and then so they're involved in that plot. Must remember to remind that this isn't a spoiler either, because this isn't a plot point, but it's important to know. From Jurassic World Dominion, where dinosaurs were everywhere, dinosaurs have actually died out, or mostly died out, due to diseases that human beings are familiar with, such as cold and flus, temperature and climate and vegetation and all that sort of stuff. Has sort of wiped out most of the dinosaurs that were out and about in the world, apart from places near the equator and certain regions of islands. So there we are. That's the world we inhabit in this film, and we're off to the races. My thoughts on the film are a mixed bag. I think you can probably tell by my pessimism. I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan, so it is sort of with a heavy heart that I watch the film sort of with a trepidation. Jurassic World, I knew what I was coming into with Jurassic World. I thought, okay, this looks a little silly, but silly's not a problem. As I said, the first Jurassic World, I think, nailed it. I thought it was somewhat silly, especially with the raptor stuff and and Vincent D'Onofrio, the great Vincent D'Onofrio, being a bit of a silly bugger bad guy. But I think it's fine. It delivered. It was a crowd pleaser, and it had the sort of nostalgic moments that you probably wanted, especially in 2015 when it came out. Yeah, I think it was the right time to release one. Since then, we've had 2 subsequent sequels to that particular part of the Jurassic World universe that have been underwhelming, to say the least, and also pretty stupid in terms of plot line and methods and sort of motivations for the characters and all that sort of stuff. Excuse me. So here we are with a brand new redo, but it isn't, because like I said, the plot is they're going to the island, we've seen that before, to get samples of dinosaurs. That's a little different because they were taking the dinosaurs off the island before, twice, with Fallen Kingdom and Lost World. And so it's not really out of the realms of what we've already seen, like I said, twice, maybe thrice before. So I don't give them props for the plot or the Anyway, let's get to the performances. Scarlett Johansson's great. She really leads the cast, I feel, jointly with Mahershala Ali. I think it's both of them are the leads of the film, and they're very, very good at leading the film. I really like both of their characters. I like their dynamic. They delivered their sort of quippy lines, and because they insert those every now and then, very well. Scarlett Johansson's a pro at this, and Mahershala Ali. Every time Mahershala Ali was on screen in this film, I kept thinking and begrudging Marvel, how the hell do you not get the Blade movie sorted? This guy is so cool and authoritative, and he's such a leading man. I can't think why they can't get that Blade movie up and running. Give him all the money in the world, just do it. Just do a Blade film. Even a half decent one would have Mahershala Ali leading it, and it would be great. Anyway, that aside, those two were great. And I also shout out the little girl from the family, because I thought she was adorable. And there is the sisters of the family. Within the family, there's an older sister who has a boyfriend who is, he's a bit of a douche. That's not, again, he's a douchey character, but he does deliver his lines pretty well. And there was a couple of laughs I got from his sort of delivery. And the dad's fine, because I can relate to that dad. Okay, fine. Other than that, the plot's very generic. Plots we've seen twice before. The dinosaur action is very good, and I think the effects and the CGI, again, something Gareth Edwards has delivered very, very well before, were really good. And I thought some of the dinosaur action in it is a vast step up on what's been done in all 3 Jurassic Worlds, I would argue. So I think they executed that well. Some of the dinosaurs are quite scary, and especially sort of the beginning towards the middle, so about 60% in, the dinosaurs were great, and then they start getting to the genetic hybrid stuff, and that's when I sort of start. And this is a personal thing. I sort of start to lose interest. I'm a bit of a purist, although I do acknowledge that the dinosaurs don't have feathers and Dilophosaurus isn't a real dinosaur. Whatever. I'm a purist for the first film, so all the first film's sort of references and dinosaurs I was on board with. I even like the Mosasaurus from Jurassic World. So yeah, I was on board with the majority of the sort of normal dinosaur action. Then you get into the genetic hybrid dinosaurs, and I start to lose interest a little bit because they're just monsters. There's no relatability to them. And again, this might be a personal thing, but yeah, I don't relate to sort of that level of sort of, well, this is just a monster. That's not a dinosaur. That's a monster. I would come to see a dinosaur film, but it's actually a monster movie. And again, some of the without spoiling things, is a very paint by numbers. We've got to the island. Something's gone wrong. We now need to get off the island. And by the way, there's a family with some children along for the ride as well. That's the film in a nutshell. There's nothing offensive about that. It's just there's nothing sort of to write home about and say, oh my god, you need to go out and see this movie. I would advocate for going out and seeing it in the cinema, because it is, I would say, an entertaining ride. And I'm not going to give it a score or anything, but I would say it is probably worth seeing if you're just looking to switch your brain off, go and see a sort of entertaining, don't think too much about it, dinosaur / monster movie in a tropical environment. It looked very much like Thailand. I have no idea. It looked like Thailand to me that they filmed it. But yeah, it's a good film. For Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali alone, I think it's probably worth the entry. Weirdly, there's Ed Skrein, who was the villain in the first Deadpool movie, who's in it in a. Don't get too attached to that guy. That is a spoiler. Apologies. I promise I try not to do that again. But yeah, as soon as he came on screen, I thought, oh, he's going to be involved. Nope. Okay, fine. There you go. And I think you can probably figure out the plot of this film or how it ends up before you've even gone in. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think you probably could have figured out the first, the 2014 Godzilla movie, for example, or the Transformers movie, or probably the last Marvel movie that came out. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. My problem with the film comes from its sort of intelligence level, because there's certain, like I said, the plot is very generic, and like I said, it's very rinse and repeat from what we've done. So that's the frustration, because I'm like, you could do something different with it. I'm not sure what, but I'm not a screenwriter. But to serve up the same film 3 times, which is essentially what this is, that's quite insulting. Isn't it? That's quite insulting to audiences. At least the Jurassic World, the last 2 I didn't like whatsoever, but, well, not the Fallen Kingdom, but Dominion tried to do something a bit different, in a way, but it was just weird and warped, and I don't know what they were doing there. But for this one, I can't give it a none recommendation, but I think it's fine. It's fine. One bone of contention for me is Jonathan Bailey's character. As soon as he comes on screen, and he's the museum dinosaur expert who actually put together the plan but wasn't planning on coming to the island and enacting the plan. But he goes anyway. The minute he comes on screen, he is sort of talking down to the army guys, to Scarlett Johansson, and they try to sort of tease a romance between them, but it never really looks realistic or believable. And he is like the arrogant, smarmy, answers back sort of geek, which I know you don't see. I know you shouldn't have archetypes, but like, so he's not a cowardly geek who just sort of does his job and he's really passionate about the dinosaurs. No, he's really passionate about the dinosaurs to the point where he's gonna answer back to the army chief trying to keep him alive, or trying to, and everything he says, I was just like, oh my god, I really don't like that character. Maybe it's a personal thing, but I thought he was quite unlikable from start to finish, and as one of the sort of people you're supposed to root for, that became a little bit of a problem as well during it. And there's one point where so essentially they're trying to get the DNA of the dinosaurs, these specific dinosaurs, to rescue heart disease. Not once before he questions it does he ever question it, and suddenly he delivers a line which is sort of like, maybe we're not doing the right thing here. and it comes so far left field. I think, was that a reshoot? That's so weird. Anyway, if you watch the film, see if you can see that clang moment and see if you agree with it. Anyway, that's my sort of review, thoughts, pondering of the film. I did enjoy it. I think I've just settled on my views. I did enjoy it. It was a fun time at the movies. Would I see it again at cinema? No, probably not. In fact, no, I wouldn't. But that's not to say I wouldn't see it again when it's on home video, for God's sake, streaming. I'm old, don't get me wrong. So yeah, let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? If you have seen it, are you looking forward to seeing it? If you haven't, am I bang on the money if you have? Or do you disagree with me? Potentially, probably about Jonathan Bailey, I can see, because I see a lot of sort of swooning around him online. And that's not why I don't like him, by the way, before anyone says that. But no, I found him annoying from start to finish. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please leave me a like or subscribe. That always helps my channel. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Thank you. Bye-bye.